Welcome back to the NITE Economics YouTube channel, and today we're going to be looking at the unemployment rate in the United States as well as in Canada. So if you're liking the content, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and let's get into the video. So today, if you've seen some of my previous videos, I've touched on this idea of potentially a recession happening if we're not currently already living in one. There is one missing component that you could see that happens and that is consistent across all official recessions. So these vertical bars here, these maroon reddish vertical bars here represent U.S. recessions, which are pretty much global recessions. So you could see what is common is once one happens officially, there is a parabolic move, a very rapid parabolic move to the upside in the unemployment rate. So you could see that obviously it was true here during the corona, here during the great financial crisis, here during the tech bubble burst, the dot-com bubble. Here, I guess this was there was a recession here in the early 90s, and so on. And it's a couple in the 80s, 70s, etc., and so on. So you could see that they all have this characteristic of the unemployment rate going parabolic in a very short amount of time, instead of seeing like this up and down seesaw you seeing this up and down, this gradual up and down, and maybe even which is more consistent on the downside. It's not so consistent on the upside, which is another thing I want to point out. What is different, as you could see here in this area over here, is our most current time, right? So from February, let's just say January 2023 till now, the unemployment rate has been gradually going up. And that is different versus every other time, at least in terms of like the amount that it has gone up. In these last couple of years, I guess 3 years now at this point, it has gone up 33%. Mind you, this isn't percentages, so it's gone up. It's gone up from as low as 3.4% to up 4.3%. But the move here in this chart it has been a 32% move. It's a very large move, and it's come down a bit. So now it's currently sitting at about 25.9% move, and it's been going on for pretty much 3 years now, a little bit over 3 years at this point, and that has never been the case. Yeah, you do see these moves to the upside, but they're not as large and they don't last as long before a recession happens, is what I'm trying to get at here. So you see this one's a 13% move, and it was just over 2 years. This one doesn't count. You see here we have this move here to the upside, right? And it was a 15% move, and it was about a year. You have this one over here. Before that, I guess in the 80s. Yeah. I'm going to count it from here, because then the parabolic move happens, and it's not during the recession, or the officially announced recession. It's 3.8%. I didn't measure that properly. 8% move. And it took about a year, right? Just a little bit over a year, and so on and so forth. And you could check this and verify this information for yourself. This is just the United States unemployment rate, and I have just the U.S. recession NBER on top of that. So you could verify this for yourself. You could see that this is true across the board. This has happened many times. And the situation now is a little bit different. So I guess you could make an argument that maybe they cracked the code in order to keep the unemployment rate consistently moving higher for who knows how long without an official recession being announced. I think this is, I don't think that the code has been cracked. I think it's just a matter of time before we get that sudden parabolic move to the upside that would trigger an official recession. I think we're kind of like in a stagnation scenario, and I think that is true if you look at a lot of different metrics across the board. We're kind of like in a stagnation environment, if you will, in the United States. If we compare Canada, I think Canada is much worse off. Canada has pretty much been the unemployment rate of Canada has been creeping up pretty much since June 2022, and it's gone up a lot more. It's pulled back in a good sense. The unemployment rate has come down, so it went all the way up almost 45%, and now it's currently sitting at about 36% from the lows, and that's been happening for about 4 years now. More. Is it 4 years? I don't see that starting date there. Yeah, I think it's 4 years. Yeah, June 2022. So we're about to get into 4 years of the unemployment rate consistently moving higher and higher and higher. And still no official recession has been announced. That's why I think Canada is likely already in a recessionary state, something closer to a stagnation, if you will. And again, this is different for Canada as well. As you could see, like it chops around for a short. Once it hits the bottom or close to the bottom, it chops around for a while. Then that parabolic move happens. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. Yeah, for the most part. This one comes down, then up. And then here, we don't have any more history, but here you could see that it looks kind of similar to this, actually. It's kind of has a, like it's trending to the upside for a substantial period of time, from 1967 to pretty much the 70s. So the early 70s. So you have what, like 3 years or so from here to here for 46 bars. So you have 60, yeah, pretty much the early 70s. So from January, what is that? January 67, 68, 69, 70. So like 3 years. So we're still beating that. This has been going on for longer before an official recession happens. So maybe, to me, maybe we're in Canada's case, we're somewhere like this. We're coming down, then it's going to trend back up. Then you have your recession. So maybe we have, a couple months left to go. I'm thinking the end of this year it's not gonna look good for Canada, and it's likely not gonna look good in the United States either, in terms of when this recession might happen. Maybe they could, kick the can down a little bit longer, but I would say max 2 to 3 years we're gonna see something like that. And then, as you could see here in these articles, Oracle has started laying off a bunch of people starting in this year, but actually this was not such a good one. Here kind of gives us a breakdown of how many people have been laid off, and some of them have severance packages. So you can see Oracle, Amazon, Block, Meta, Salesforce, and Microsoft all having pretty large layoffs, particularly Oracle and Amazon, pretty large layoffs to start the year. And I guess the argument is because of AI, that's what's causing these layoffs. I think the AI narrative is being used as a way to kind of cover up the weakness in the economy. I think that's what's really happening, and they're using the AI as a narrative to have people not worry too much about what's going on in the real economy, and it just doesn't look good, right? So you could see 20 to 30,000 people have been laid off in Oracle, and that's not just in the United States, that's worldwide. I think this is also the true for Amazon, Block, Meta, Salesforce, and Microsoft. I think it's globally, but a lot of them have been in the United States. And as you could see, the unemployment rate keeps creeping up higher in the United States, even though it's had a recent pullback. We're now starting to bounce back up to the upside, which is not a good thing. So I think this is we're starting to see that turnaround. We're starting to see those layoffs happening, because these layoffs are going to have a negative effect on the stock market. Right, so you have layoffs start to happen, then the stock market gets affected by those layoffs because there's no more residual money to be spent into the stock market. There's not going to be that much investment. Stock market goes down, you have more layoffs, and it creates this downward negative spiral that essentially triggers an official recession. Right, again, and we're talking about an official recession. We're likely already been in a recession. And mind you, the governments usually announce an official recession way after the fact. Pretty much when what do they say? Once it's announced, the recession is officially announced. You have like a couple months left in the recession before the recession is over. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep monitoring this very, 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 very closely on this channel. And again, if you're liking this content, drop a like. Subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Am I totally off here, or am I on the money? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.